All right, let's be real for a second. Conflict is everywhere, right? At school, with your family, and yeah, definitely in every single job you will ever have. And we're always taught to avoid it, to see it as some kind of failure. But what if that's totally wrong? What if being able to manage conflict isn't just some soft skill, but a genuine career superpower? Okay, let's get into it.
First things first, we've got to make a really critical distinction here. Not all conflict is the same. On one side, you have relationship conflict. This is the personal, nasty stuff. It's almost always destructive. Think of two people on a team who just can't stand each other, and that personal beef just poisons every single meeting. But then, on the other side, you've got task conflict. This is the good stuff, the passionate, tough debate about ideas. This is the absolute engine of innovation and high-performing teams. See, a team that never argues, well, that's not harmony, that's groupthink. That's where everyone just nods along to avoid making waves, even if the ship is heading for an iceberg.
So, this brings us to the big idea of this whole explainer. The goal isn't to get rid of conflict. No way. It's to become a conductor, to orchestrate it. You want to crank up the healthy task conflict while turning the volume way down on that destructive relationship conflict. But the million-dollar question is, how do you actually pull that off?
Well, the answer lies in having the right tools for the job. And we're going to build out your strategic toolkit using a classic but super powerful framework, the Thomas Kilmann model. It gives us 5 totally distinct styles for handling conflict. Now, the key thing to remember is this. These are not personality traits. They're tools. Tools you can pull out of your toolkit for different situations.
First up in the toolkit is competing. This is your I win, you lose mode. Super assertive, not so cooperative. Now, this isn't about being a jerk, okay? It's a strategic, power-oriented style that you use when you need lightning-fast, decisive action. Think of a surgeon in an emergency room, or when you are 100% certain that you're right about a mission-critical issue where there's just no room for compromise.
The total opposite of that is accommodating. This is the I lose, you win approach. You're basically putting the other person's needs ahead of your own. And strategically, this can be a brilliant move. You use it to preserve a really important relationship, to build up some social credit that you can cash in later, or, and this is a big one, when you just realize, you know what, I was wrong. Next, we've got avoiding. Now, this one gets a really bad rap. People see it as weak, but that is a huge mistake. Thinking of this as I lose, you lose can be a super powerful strategic choice. You use it to sidestep some trivial issue that's just not worth the fight, or to let a really heated situation cool down, or when you look at the board and realize you simply don't have the power to win this one. It's about saving your energy for the battles that actually matter. Then there's compromising. This is that classic, let's just split the difference, or meet me in the middle solution. It's right in the middle on assertiveness and cooperation. This is your go-to move when you need a fast, good enough fix. The goals are important, yeah, but not so important that they're worth the massive time and energy it would take to fight for a perfect solution. And finally, we have what many consider the holy grail, collaborating. This is the true I win, you win approach. It's highly assertive and highly cooperative. See, this isn't just about splitting the difference. It's about working together to find a brand new, creative solution that makes everybody happy. It's about baking a bigger pie instead of just fighting over the slices of the one you have. It's perfect for those really complex issues when you absolutely need to merge different perspectives and build real long-term commitment. Okay, so you've got the 5 tools in your toolkit now. But just knowing what a hammer is doesn't make you a carpenter, right? The real skill, the real art is in the strategic calculus, knowing exactly which tool to pull out and when. And this right here is where it all comes together. Because what's so interesting is that every single choice has a trade-off. Competing, yeah, it gets you a fast result, but man, it burns through your relationship capital. Collaborating can create the absolute best outcome, but it is incredibly expensive in terms of time and energy. Compromising is fast, but you might miss out on a truly great solution. And avoiding saves you energy now, but that problem might just get bigger and uglier later. So the big takeaway here is that there is no single best style. The only thing that matters is the best style for this specific situation. And to help you choose, let's borrow a really cool idea from game theory. Before you do anything, you need to diagnose the game you're actually in. Is it a zero-sum game where for me to win, you have to lose? Think about haggling over the price of a used car. That kind of situation just naturally pushes you toward a competing style. Or is it a non-zero-sum game where we can actually both win together? Think about 2 teams trying to launch a new product. That setup opens the door for true collaboration.
And if you're still not convinced that the right kind of conflict is vital, listen to this. The father of modern management himself, Peter Drucker, he put it perfectly. He said that great decisions are born from disagreement, not from everyone holding hands and singing Kumbaya. If everybody in the room agrees right away, you should be suspicious. You're probably missing something huge. You need that productive friction to really see the whole picture.
So theory is great, but let's see how this all plays out in the real world. We're going to look at two giant companies with totally different ways of doing business, and we'll see how their situation completely dictates their conflict strategy.
First up, let's look at BCE, also known as Bell Canada. This is a massive Canadian telecom company. It operates in a really stable, heavily regulated market. Their whole business is built on huge infrastructure and long-term stability. So for BCE, their entire conflict strategy is a masterclass in one word: stability. When they deal with government regulators, it's this delicate dance of strategic compromise and accommodation, because they have to keep their license to operate. With their big competitors, it's kind of like a game of chicken. An all-out price war, a competing strategy, would be mutually destructive. So instead, they engage in this sort of unspoken compromise. And with their unions, it's a predictable cycle. They start with competing during 10 strikes, which almost always leads to a hard-fought compromise at the bargaining table.
Okay, now let's do a complete 180 and look at a totally different beast: Netflix, the global disruptor. Their business isn't built on stability. It's built on constant innovation, explosive growth, and learning the best creative talent on the planet.
Netflix, on the other hand, has to be a total chameleon. When they face the big writers and actor strikes, their initial competing and avoiding strategy completely backfired, forcing them into a massive, very costly compromise. But when they want to land an A-list creator like Shonda Rhimes, it is all about high collaboration. They offer massive budgets and total creative freedom, a true win-win. And with foreign governments, it's fascinating. They've pivoted from competing against local content quotas to cleverly accommodating by pouring millions into local productions, which builds a ton of goodwill. They change their style depending on the game.
So what's the bottom line here? What can we take away from all this? How do you actually apply these ideas to turn that friction and disagreement into real forward momentum in your own career? Let's boil it all down to 3 core principles. First, and this is so important, remember that your conflict style is a choice, not a permanent part of your personality. The best leaders aren't just collaborators or competitors. They're multilingual. They know how to pick the right tool for the job. Second, always diagnose the game before you play. Ask yourself, is this a win-lose battle, or is this a win-win problem we can solve together? That answer has to change your entire approach. And finally, maybe the most crucial point of all, you have to separate the task from the relationship. Create a space where people can fight like hell for an idea without ever fearing it's a personal attack.
And that really brings us to a final thought for you. In a world where AI is getting better and better at automating the what and the how of our jobs, it's the uniquely human skills that are becoming priceless. The leaders of the future, they're going to be the ones who can navigate those complex, messy, value-based conflicts all around the big question of why. So the real question is, are you building the skills you need to lead that debate?